For me, my parents wanted to always pronounce that they want me to be a doctor.
Okay.
We will take it as the query based on fiqh Hanafi. Because we study and we specialize fiqh Hanafi.
Okay.
The fatwas based on fiqh Hanafi. So
Okay.
by default, we'll consider this as a query based on fiqh Hanafi. Until today, we see a lot of inaccuracy when the AI responses. Inaccuracy in quoting the references, inaccuracy in interpreting the references. We believe that Bangladesh has a big potential to be one of the important hubs of Islamic finance in our region, inshallah. When we want to share this material in Bangladesh, so in Bangladesh, we don't have tawarruk, for example.
Yes.
We have murabaha, we have mudaraba, we have salam, istisna, etc. But overall, mashallah, in Malaysia, they enjoy certain things which we don't have in most other Muslim countries in terms of Islamic finance studies. This should not be taken as granted.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa ala ali Sayyidina Muhammad. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wahlul 'uqdatam min lisani yafqahu qawli. Welcome to the next series of Very ASAS podcast. When we talk about Very ASAS podcast, this is a podcast that can talk about very fundamental thing, very basic, very informative about the products, about the industry. And today we will talk more about an individual, a unique person sitting next to me, Mufti Yousuf Sultan from Bangladesh, and has been here for many years, familiar with nasi lemak and teh tarik and everything. We just want to get some insight from him. Hopefully the outcome from this podcast would also inspire a lot of people, would also give something that clarify certain thing that people would like to know. For example, we will ask about the title of Mufti that he carry with him as compared to the Mufti that we have in Malaysia. His venture into Islamic finance, his effort in continuous study with a long qualification after PhD, completed his PhD recently, Dr. Mufti Yousuf Sultan, and he's also a learner and also a trainer in ASAS CSA CSP program. So I can read a lot. I can read of his long profile, but hopefully by listening to our conversation today, you'll get to know him better, and of course, hopefully he can share a lot. And this will not be the first session with him. Hopefully we can have a few more sessions with him in future. Okay, Dr. Mufti Yousuf Sultan, I'm sure you're going to have that is the beginning of your name. Towards the end of your name, you have CSAA, you have CFVE, you name it, masters and everything. Yeah. Okay. Tell me about your growing up. I think you grew up in Abu Dhabi instead of Bangladesh or Malaysia. And what was your ambition when you were young? From the beginning, you wanted to be Islamic Finance Sharia Committee or what? This is just a beginning of our discussion. Yes.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. First of all, thank you so much, and thanks to ASAS for inviting me for this podcast.
Yeah.
And hopefully, inshallah, we can share something that is beneficial to the audience as well as the youngsters that ASAS has been nurturing, alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah.
To begin with my journey, when I was born in Dhaka in Bangladesh, the capital of Bangladesh.
Okay.
And when I was just 2 months old, my father brought me in Abu Dhabi in UAE. He was working there. And from there until grade 4, I studied in Abu Dhabi.
Okay.
I had my early school days in Abu Dhabi as well. Now, coming back to your question, like what was my ambition?
Yes.
I mean, I was trying to think about it. It has been quite a long time. As far I remember, I wanted to be a doctor, not the PhD doctor, the medical doctor. Because during that time, it was seen as quite, respective profession.
Yeah.
And my parents wanted to make me a doctor. I have my siblings, and some of them they wanted to be engineers, some of them they wanted to be a pilot.
Yeah.
For me, my parents wanted to always pronounce that they want me to be a doctor.
Okay, so they get what they want.
And then I remember later on when I came to madrasa, and one day one of my ustaz, I was telling that my parents wanted me to be a doctor, and my ustaz responded, "You are becoming a doctor." Not, I mean, he didn't mean PhD doctor that time. He meant you are becoming a spiritual doctor.
Oh, okay.
You will heal people spiritually through deen, through da'wah.
MashaAllah.
MashaAllah. Alhamdulillah. Yeah.
So that was your
that
journey.
Was the ambition.
So after you completed your year 4,
yes,
in Abu Dhabi, you went back and joined the madrasa?
No, not immediately. I came to Dhaka back, and I had school 2 more years. For 2 more years, and then I joined madrasa. Okay. We have a long alimiya program, which is well known in Pakistan, India, Bangladesh, and also some other parts of the world. Even in Malaysia, there are a few madrasas like that. So this alimiya course spans around 7 to 10 years. My one was around 10 years.
10 years.
So in these 10 years, we study the basics of Arabic, the Nahu, Sarf, Balagha, and then we study the fiqh, usul fiqh, then tafsir, usul tafsir, then hadith, ulum al-hadith, tarikh, seerah, a bit of comprehensive, and at the last year we also study the Siha Sitta from end to end. We don't go very deep. The ustad, how they teach us is that they have a divided specific portion from you. Let's say in Sahih Bukhari, they will cover some portions in a very deep manner. The rest we will just recite, like qira'ah. Qira'ah al-ustaz. But the idea is we have to finish the entire Siha Sitta. So that was my 10-year alimiya journey. Alhamdulillah.
So how many of you, I mean, in each intake, how many madrasah there in Dhaka?
In Dhaka and the whole Bangladesh, there are a lot of such madrasas. A lot of madrasas. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, every year we have at least 20 to 25,000 graduates of Dawra Hadith. Dawra Hadith is the last year of the alimiya course. But if you compare with the first year, there are much more, but only a few would survive. Yeah,
it's a long year. It's 10 years. It's a 10 years.
It's a 10 years program.
So after that, you complete your alim, and then you continue further to get your mufti.
So after we finish the alimiya course, we have a number of takhassus. We can consider the alimiya as like masters, for example, because in some countries like Pakistan, they officially recognize these as masters. In Bangladesh also, we have a government gazette that it is recognized as a masters of Islamic studies or Arabic equivalent. So after masters, just like we do MPhil or PhD, so in our journey, we have a few number of takhassusat. Takhassus yani specialization programs. So we have takhassus fi ulum al-hadith, we have takhassus fi da'wah, we have takhassus fi al-fiqh wal fatawa. So I did takhassus fi al-fiqh wal fatawa. So that after that, it's not a degree. It doesn't say that you are awarded certain degree. It says you have finished the program. But the urf is, the customs is that when someone finishes that, they are called mufti. Particularly if he's also appointed as a mufti in some institution. So myself, I had the opportunity, alhamdulillah, to work for 5 years as Naib Mufti, which is Deputy Mufti in 2 institutions basically, where we had to not only teach but also issue fatwas as per the requirements from the public. Like when they do istifta, we have to respond.
So I just want to relate the Mufti title to the
Malaysian context.
No, we only have about 14 Mufti appointed by the state. Serving at the state level, and in your case, you have
quite more,
maybe 200 or 300 mufti every year,
maybe even more,
even more, maybe 1,000 from Bangladesh, maybe another 1,000 from India and Pakistan, and there
are other countries as well.
As well, South Africa, I suppose, that system. So when you say you are appointed in institution, does that institution is a government related or private sectors or I just want to try to relate to to the weightage of the fatwa that
Right.
that you are issued.
Right.
How does it work?
So, as in my observation, there are two types at this current world order. So, one is the what we have seen in Malaysia and also, let's say, Egypt and a few other countries,
Yes.
where a mufti is appointed by the government.
Yes.
Usually, there would be a grand mufti, and then maybe there are
Yes.
some deputy muftis, etc.
Correct.
So, these muftis have some sort of enforcement capability of the authority for the fatwas as well. Like when a state issues a fatwa, it is like a binding for the religious authority, etc.
Yes, correct.
When we look for other countries like Bangladesh, India, and many other countries, as you mentioned, the muftis here, firstly, they have to go through this education process.
Okay.
Secondly, they have to be appointed and by institutions. When I say institution, not government, I don't mean government institutions.
Okay. All right.
These are basically higher education centers or Darul Ifta. We call Darul Ifta. Like as you mentioned, you recently also visited Pakistan, like in Darul Karachi and also Jamia bin Nuria in Pakistan. There are dedicated Darul Ifta. So the Darul Ifta, how it works is that people will come and they will ask questions. And they will have certain layers of approvals.
Okay.
So when someone writes a fatwa, then the first layer of mufti, he will approve it or he will give corrections. Just like in PhD, we have co-supervisor or main supervisor.
Okay.
And then there will be a final approval.
Okay.
The final mufti will approve it that this is approved.
Okay.
And then this fatwa will be disseminated to the public. But it does not come with the enforcement obligation.
Capabilities.
So it's more voluntary fatwa.
Okay.
Self-obliged by the person who is taking this fatwa.
Ask the question.
Exactly.
Okay.
Or whoever wants to implement on themselves.
Okay.
Yes, on some national matters, sometimes we have seen that several fatwa bodies will issue a fatwa, and the whole nation, the ulama will say, you see, this is the fatwa. So somehow voluntarily, the Muslims will follow it.
Okay.
But again, it's not an enforcement from the state. So that's the difference, I would say.
Okay. So this is why this is something that I learned from IIUM when I studied in IIUM in 1995.
Okay.
That was the first time I came across people with title Mufti. I said, Mufti, okay. You look very young, 24, 25, right. Around that age. You carry title Mufti. I said, oh, maybe you are taking a study leave from your country. No, I was reserved and I don't ask question. And then I came across another guy which also carry a title Mufti. Okay, I said, all right. So I think the recognition of Mufti, the weightage of the pronouncement or ijtihad that you make carry some weight. And then when come to, for example, this is a little bit technical on for the opinions of the public as well. You specialize on certain areas.
All right.
Some other people specialize on certain areas. I'm sure there are also people who focusing on certain school of thought.
Right.
So what happened? Mazhab. What happened if there is conflicting between the fatwa of that topic among the school of thought and the mazhab?
Right. So usually in our country, in madrasas, for example, when Darul Iftas, people come to ask questions. By default, we will take it as the query based on fiqh Hanafi. Because we study and we specialize fiqh Hanafi. The fatwas based on fiqh Hanafi. So by default, we'll consider this as a query based on fiqh Hanafi.
All right, fine.
And then we will continue the research and fatwa, everything based on that fiqh.
Okay, fine.
Until and unless sometimes there are, we have been seeing this trend recently, that some will say, no, I follow a different madhab.
Yes.
Which is fine.
Yeah.
So what we will do in that case, we will try to give him fatwa based on that, or we will say, sorry, we don't specialize on that.
Okay.
Perhaps you go to muftis who are specializing on this madhab.
Okay.
So we try to follow the madhab and the fiqh, the school of fiqh, because every school of fiqh has a bit different usul fiqh, the methodology that they derive based on the references as well, the weightage or the preferences of the different opinions between the madhab. So if the mufti does not know these, then it will be a a wrong fatwa perhaps.
Okay.
So yeah, that's why it's very crucial.
Very interesting.
Yeah, and one more point you mentioned about the weightage. I forgot to address on that. So as I was mentioning that I have observed these two schools, I would say. Let's say in one school we have state appointed muftis. So here we have a different level of weightage.
Yeah.
On the other hand, we don't have state appointed muftis, but I would say it's more like peer accredited or peer recognized or peer validated muftis.
Okay.
Why I'm saying that? Because even though it seems so that every year there are a lot of muftis graduating, but ultimately if they are not capable for so, then in just a few years, the peer muftis or those who are elders, they will just de-recognize them.
Oh,
in other words, like if they put their name mufti and they issue something, it will just go viral and people will bring this to the elder muftis who are more recognized. Everyone recognizes them and they will denounce them kind of. No, he's not capable for, fatwa. So it's kind of a peer validation system we have. It's not that it's just open-ended and anyone can issue a fatwa. It's not like that.
Okay, I understand.
Secondly, on government level, if they have a very sensitive matter and they need a fatwa, so we have few associations, few fatwa bodies.
Okay.
It's like a similar to ASAS, for example. It's an association.
Yeah.
So they will come here and the association will give a collective opinion and usually they will follow.
Okay.
So even though they don't have enforcement, but there is a certain level of validation through which we can ensure the credibility of the fatwa, basically.
Yeah. Because there are a lot of mufti, there are a lot of scholars online.
Correct.
Yeah, we don't even know their background. We don't even know their specialization.
Right.
So sometimes, of course, they give comment, they give remarks that influence others.
True.
I always reminded the people who ask me about that question. It will always fall back to their liabilities.
True.
Because they are not appointed, because they are not related to any institution for that matter. They don't have any liability. They can say whatever they want. Sometimes they just comment without any solution.
Sometimes you will see that there are credible fatwas. From credible muftis as well. But the context is not same. So when people Google or even let's say ask AI, they will respond to based on a context that was given by someone else.
All right.
And as we know, when it comes to fatwa, fatwa is not just a response to a query. It's a response to a query customized to the mustafti.
Those who ask.
Yes. So something that was asked by someone in Saudi, for example, may not be relevant or applicable to someone in Malaysia.
Correct. Yes.
Even though everything else is just like we always give, our ustaz always give the example of, let's say, medicines. We may have same symptoms.
Yes.
We have headache.
Yes.
But somebody may have headache due to some other reason. Somebody if we are just applying the same medicine, it may not cure.
Panadol all over the world,
exactly.
For example.
Exactly.
Okay, all right.
So it's always good to go to actual credible human muftis so that they can understand and they can give the response.
I was also told that the fatwa is basically mainly for the person who asks.
True.
Based on the condition, based on that particular.
That's what
condition.
I meant by the context.
The context and the condition. And also according to the available references during that time.
And also when the mustafti ask questions, last time, like now we see more standardization. Last time often when the question was asked, the mufti may just rely on the question itself without even asking further detail. Of course, based on husnul zan, considering that he said everything true.
Yes.
But now we know with this generation, we know that when people ask questions, there are so many small loopholes.
Yes.
So we go further and we ask, and that's why Sharia Advisory Service now, when we ask, maybe a question was asked in a very simple language.
Yes.
When we ask for document, it's completely different.
Okay.
And then you go to the agreement, the clauses are even more different.
More details
and with so many variables, conditions. So nowadays, the context is even more important.
Yes.
And it's unfortunate that we see that when people come to muftis, I'm giving context from my experience. Sometimes they try to oversimplify it. Intentionally or unintentionally. Intentions only Allah knows. I'm not talking about intentions.
Of course.
So, but sometimes they simplify it in a manner that the answer goes to their favor.
Allahu
So
Akbar.
that is also something. And
Allahu
nowadays, that's why when we train the muftis, we always ask them to use the 6, 7, 8 sense so that they can validate the query. They can understand that the substance is accurate, and then only they answer.
Before we start, before we stop for this first segment,
Yeah.
What's your comment from Mufti AI or Mufti ChatGPT on that matter? I mean, to a certain extent, people say, okay, I would rely on ChatGPT and AI on a very plain vanilla, generalized issues.
Right.
I don't need to go to Mufti, or I don't need to go to scholars. I don't need to go to the expert, because this is a generalized issue.
Right.
Maybe for certain extent, when it comes to specific issues that are different, I mean, I will go to the scholars or to Mufti. What do you think of that?
I think there are two issues we are looking at for this case.
Yeah.
One is to have general understanding or knowledge. Just like last time in Google search or Bing search, if I want to know something, I would search, and I have a long list of websites.
Yes.
I look at the credible websites and get the understanding. Okay, done.
Right.
So at least I develop the understanding or knowledge.
The process.
So that we can have the same in AI as well, if the information is accurate.
Yeah.
Why I'm saying if? Because until today we see a lot of inaccuracy when the AI responses.
Yeah.
Inaccuracy in quoting the references, inaccuracy in interpreting the references. So assuming that AI has advanced in a manner that the references and things are proper, then we can still take it for knowledge purposes.
Yes.
Another one is for fatwas. Fatwas is a type of response which either makes something permissible for me or prohibited for me. For example, let me give a very severe case. Nauzubillah, it doesn't happen to anyone, but that will help us judge the context. Let's say it's an issue of talaq, divorce. Because in Darul Ifta, we receive a lot of queries about divorce, family matters basically, divorce, inheritance, personal matters. Now, if AI says it's not divorced, but from fiqh perspective it is divorced, then we can understand the consequence. A lot of haram relationships and so many things will happen. Likewise, let's say validation or invalidation of salah, prayer. If AI says that the salah or the prayer was not invalidated, but according to fiqh, the salah was invalidated. What it means? It means that AI says you don't have to pray again. But actually, based on fiqh, my prayer was invalid. Means I did not perform the farz. I didn't perform the obligation. I have to renew it. So we can see that it impacts my performance of obligation towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and it will also have consequences of reward or punishment and everything. And even my family matters and everything. So in such cases, I would strongly advise that we get in touch with human muftis or those who are experts. They have credibility of response, and then we get solution from them.
Inshallah.
But in knowledge purposes, as long as the information is accurate, we can take from here.
Okay, interesting beginning. So this is part 1 of our podcast today. We'll take a short break and we will come back about Mufti Yousuf Sultan involvement in Islamic finance. You know, the father wanted him to be a medical doctor. The scholars that he was referring to, talking about a spiritual doctor. He completed his PhD in Islamic finance, right? From INSEF. So we will talk about this in the second part on his involvement in Islamic finance and his role as a Sharia committee in a few institutions. And we will also, inshallah, in our second part, we'll talk about Islamic finance in Bangladesh from his perspective, inshallah. So thank you very much. Stay tuned. Wait for our second part of our podcast today, inshallah. Thank you very much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Welcome back to our part 2 of ASAS podcast series. Today we are with Dr. Mufti Yousuf Sultan from Bangladesh, staying in Malaysia, completed his PhD, having a parent who wanted him to become a medical doctor. The scholars look at him and give him an opinion that he'll be a spiritual doctor. Now let's talk about your involvement in Islamic finance. Your specialization, or after your alim, is on fiqh and usul fiqh, right?
Right.
So you are not into a normal scholars, but you you are in Islamic finance now. How does it begin? You work for bank, or you, I don't know how.
So that's an interesting question. After I finished my Alimiya course as well as the Ifta Takhasus fil Fiqh wal Fatwa.
Okay.
Then I remember I was, during that time around in 2009 or 10, I was quite involved in some of online Islamic forums.
Okay.
And through that forum, I came to know of a gentleman. He's Musnid. He is very fond of collecting sanad of hadith, and his name is Sheikh Daniel. Daniel. I believe he was from Kuwait, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
He was in Malaysia also, I think, few weeks back.
Yeah.
So he's a Musnid. Basically, he loves collecting isnad of hadith and everything. So he visited Bangladesh, and somehow he connected me with me before he came.
Okay.
So anyway, during our journey, and I took him to our asatiza also, who had Ali sanad. Basically, as you know, in hadith we look at the level of sanad, like how close you are to the Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, like 30, 40, 34, for example. How many people in between me and Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam? So there are our asatiza who are fond of this, like this is their ambition of their life. And alhamdulillah, I had some asatiza, and we connected him, and he visited them. And during one of the journeys, I think we were on the car, and I was requesting him, like, can you give me some advice?
Wow.
And he was like, mashallah, you are a young scholar, and I advise you to learn Islamic finance.
Ooh, 2009.
It was in 2009 or 10.
2010, yeah.
So back then, I didn't know that it's such a big industry, or I should even learn about it or think about it. But that struck my mind.
Okay.
And when he went back, I followed up by email, like that, Sheikh, you advised me to do this, but can you advise me more? Where can I study? Because I don't know where to study.
All right.
And that time he took some time, and he referred me to an institute in Dubai, an Etika Institute.
Etika, okay.
And my parents were in UAE still.
Oh, they are still there?
They're still there.
Okay.
So I asked them, can you sponsor me? Alhamdulillah, my father sponsored me.
Okay.
And I did the CIFE,
okay.
the Certified Islamic Finance Executive.
Yeah, with
Etika.
Etika.
So it was a 4 months program online. I did the modules. And before I started, I thought, with this, I'm going to learn everything.
No.
But once I finished, now I feel that I learned. I mean, I don't know anything.
Yeah. You have a lot more that you don't know.
I don't know where to go.
Okay.
But I learned few things. Ayufi, I learned about Ayufi. Yeah, that's the main important thing. And then after that, I tried to find the standards of Ayufi. And during that time, standards were not accessible.
Yes.
I had to go there and there from the libraries, and it was a long thing. Anyway. And on the other hand, because during that time I was a khatib. Khatib yani, we have the responsibility to lead the Jummah every week. In Bangladesh. In Bangladesh.
Okay.
So one of my musalli means he's the Jama'ah.
In your musalla.
His son was until now he's one of my very close friends, mashallah. So he was in a top position of the largest Islamic bank in Bangladesh.
MashaAllah.
And alhamdulillah, we developed a relationship. And he started to invite me in various conferences held by the Islamic banks.
Okay, in Bangladesh.
I go there, I don't understand anything. And I remember there was a conference by IFSB and Bangladesh Bank, the central bank, maybe around in 2012. So he sent me the invitation, I went there. And I remember Mr. Daud Bekari Abdullah from INSEAD that time. He also went. I just listen, but I don't understand anything.
Accounting,
But
finance.
now
econ.
I know one more word, INSEAF. So
The key
after
to
that,
everything.
yeah. And then in 2013, I decided no, I must come to visit. And I came for IFN Asia event during that time in 2013.
IFN,
Yeah, Red Money. And in this 1 week, I visited INSEAF, ISRA, and also a few other institutions. And I decided I must apply.
Okay.
And Alhamdulillah, I applied at the end of 2013, and then 2014 beginning I got the acceptance, and 2014 September I came here. Alhamdulillah.
Okay.
So that was the beginning of my
for what program?
For the MSc in Islamic Finance program.
Finance.
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
So that's where my journey started, and Alhamdulillah, in 2016 August I finished it, and subsequently started my PhD. As you were mentioning.
Okay.
So you asked me if I worked in a bank. No, I didn't work in a bank.
Okay.
But Alhamdulillah, I understood that I need to learn.
Yeah.
And I remember when I came from Bangladesh, actually I was involved in one madrasa as a deputy mufti, as I mentioned. I was also part-time lecturing in a university established by OIC in Bangladesh. And also I was very much active in electronic media, like a few TV channels. I had frequent programs there.
Wow.
So I had to leave everything.
Okay,
everything.
It's a sacrifice.
It was a big sacrifice. I had to come because I made my mind that no, I need to learn because I don't know anything.
Yes.
I go to the conferences, I don't understand what they're talking about. What is risk management? What is
governance?
I don't understand anything.
Okay.
So I need to learn. And that was the beginning, alhamdulillah.
So how you, with your academic background, with your duty in your madrasa and in the college, then when you join INSEAF, they start to expose you to accounting, risk, economy. Was it that alien tough for you?
100% alien, 100% alien. And I remember, for every subject there is a 4 dummy series.
Okay.
So this dummy series was my friend.
Okay.
Because I don't understand the concepts.
Yes.
Alhamdulillah, of course, all of our professors, they were very good. But because it's a master's level and I don't have the bachelor's degree level background, it was difficult for me.
Yes.
Corporate finance, then accounting, then risk management, even economics, like the microeconomics, macroeconomics. Then later on econometrics. But later on, alhamdulillah, I managed to get A in financial econometrics. It was a long journey. But as per your question, definitely these were difficult. And during that time, my child was only 2 months old, and it was quite hectic at home as well. Traveling to a new country with all the challenges. So I had to spend a lot of time in library with the dummy series.
Yes.
And I come to the class after I understand the concept.
Okay.
Because for me, it was more about understanding the main rationale. Even though I'm not an expert, but I need to understand the very basics.
It's not just about the qualification, but also the knowledge that you're focusing on.
And I must quote one. We had Professor Iskandar. Now he's in Qatar, I believe.
Yes.
And one day in one of his class, he was mentioning, because he was realizing that some of us, like me, I mean, we don't understand fully what he's talking about.
Yes.
So he was mentioning that, see, for you, at least if you understand the logic behind this knowledge, it is sufficient. Maybe all of you will not be expert in risk management, etc. Like for me, I'm from Sharia, but maybe I don't understand. I'm not 100% expert in other subjects, but I understand the logic.
Yes.
And that really helped me for the rest of the journey.
So at least you have a proper thought process.
So every time now, later on, when I explore a new subject, I don't regret that I don't understand 100%. I'm happy if I can understand the main logic. Why is this? What I have to do as a Sharia expert. As long as I understand that, alhamdulillah, I feel okay.
And you do your own homework. You do your own writing.
Yes.
I'm not so sure whether you receive highest achievement award for your masters, but
for masters, no.
You achieve president award, I think, for your PhD.
For PhD, alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah. For 2023. 2023, right?
That's correct.
MashaAllah. So it was a long way and a very good achievement for you.
Alhamdulillah. PhD was a complete different thing. I gave up several times. I talked to my family and decided that I will send a letter that I'm no more continuing. Especially during COVID.
MashaAllah.
I said, no, it's a survival mode and I cannot continue anymore.
Yes.
And I still, when I look back, I really feel emotional. I don't know how I compare
I think
it.
maybe because of the dua of your
Of
father
course, of
that
course.
he
100%.
wanted you to be a doctor.
Of course,
Still, you have
alhamdulillah,
to
alhamdulillah.
that is everything
Definitely.
along the way.
Definitely.
Okay. We also talk about your involvement in Islamic finance, your journey to acquire knowledge, especially the technical knowledge in finance. Now that you are performing your roles as the Sharia Committee for Standard Chartered Asadiq, right?
Right.
And also other, and you are also one of the Sharia Committee for Central Bank of Bangladesh.
In one of the committees. Yes.
One of the committee. So how do you see the importance of people with Islamic studies background to explore into technical knowledge,
Right.
and the ability to apply the classical muamalat with the modern governance and guideline available? How do you see the importance of that? Because because I came across a lot of people with religious studies background commenting on the application of Islamic finance. They are also trying to relate back to the classical muamalat that is supposed to be this way. It's either that way or no way at all.
Right.
So can you share a little bit your finding in your journey of that taboo or issues among the Islamic studies scholars?
Yeah, thank you so much. I think if we look back in modern Islamic banking and finance industry, just around 50 years, if we take from the beginning of ISDB, for example, and then later on the Islamic banks, let's say in Malaysia, 1983.
Yeah.
Same year for Bangladesh as well.
1983.
Yeah, the first Islamic
bank.
So in this time period, I would say I consider myself as the third generation of Sharia scholars or Sharia committee members throughout these 50 years. Maybe I'm wrong.
Third generation. In global or in
global. I mean,
maybe four.
Maybe four. Okay,
fourth.
all right.
Okay.
Maybe okay.
Yeah.
So when we look at our first generation, second generation, the elderlies, like the likes of Sheikh Mufti Yousuf Sultan, mashallah, they did their best efforts based on Sharia studies, but then also they tried their best to bring in other aspects and perspectives.
Yeah.
For us, when we carry this legacy forward, I believe it's a very important consideration for Sharia background people to understand the technical aspects, even if on the logic level, like in the very basic level.
Yeah.
Like why and what we do in risk management, for example. Why we need to understand the technical side, legal side, a bit of accounting, understanding to read financial statements. These are all important because when we advise in real world, there are so many different variables, and if we don't have these knowledge, it takes a lot of time for our brain to process. And business is so fast today, the world is so fast today that they cannot afford the delay. They cannot wait. Like last time, maybe if something is left to the Sharia committee, okay, they can wait, let's say 1 week, 2 weeks, 1 month, who knows. Now they cannot. We have to give opinion right on the meeting, or maybe we can say, I need 1 more day. That's it.
No, they will say yesterday.
Right. So I really appreciate the values I got from INCF as well as now ASAS, alhamdulillah, that I can see from the fiqh or from the Sharia basis, a lot of, we take from the basis of Sharia, but then a lot of emphasis are made on the application side.
Yes.
Because that is very, very important. So to answer your question, I believe today, and alhamdulillah, I'm sitting in a number of Sharia boards, bank, takaful, regulator, as well as asset management fund, alhamdulillah. And also, I operate 2 share advisory companies in Bangladesh and Malaysia. So in all these different verticals, I believe this is a very essential knowledge to have technical knowledge of the different, including technology as well. Because now everything a business is offering, either it's a bank or takaful, no matter they call themselves digital or not, they are by default offering through the digital architectures.
Okay.
See, as a share advisor, I don't understand it, or I have a phobia, let's say. Nauzubillah. I mean, we still,
Of
some of
course,
us, we
yeah,
have.
still.
So then it's difficult to, understand and advise. And that gives a bit of loophole in terms of overall Sharia governance, according to my observation.
Okay. Let's talk about Islamic finance in Bangladesh. You mentioned just now that Islamic finance in Bangladesh started about the same time
Yes.
with Malaysia in 1983 when we first started our Bank Islam. I was almost joined Bank Islam then, but the answer given to me was not so convincing. So I asked, what is Bank Islam? Because some of the HR, I was working in Bank Bumiputra in 1983. Our office, Bank Bumiputra, which is where Bank Muamalat now, is next to Bank Islam HQ then. So during lunch break, there's a lot of HR from Bank Islam asked me to join Bank Islam. So I said, what is Bank Islam? The simple answer that the HR gave then was, I also don't know. So I said, what's the difference between Bank Islam and my bank then, Bank Bumiputra? In the morning we recite Yasin and we dress properly. Okay, I said, is that all? Then I follow through, but Alhamdulillah, Allah still give me the opportunity to come back to Islamic finance in a different capacity. So in Bangladesh, I think the population in Bangladesh, the majority is Muslim, I would say.
Yes.
90%.
More than 90%.
More than 90%. I'm not so sure about the current market share of Islamic bank.
Around 30%. Almost.
Around 30%. We are more than 45% now in Malaysia in terms of market share. Just if you can recall a few important milestone or recap a little bit on Islamic finance in Bangladesh.
Right. Islamic finance, in Bangladesh, as I mentioned earlier as well, we started formally in 1983, same year like
Bank Islam.
Malaysia.
Yeah.
We in Malaysia we had Bank Islam. In Bangladesh we had Islami Bank Bangladesh.
Oh, okay.
So if you translate, it's the same thing.
Same thing. Yeah.
And the journey has been quite long so far, and I would say until now, Islamic banks have been performing much better compared to the conventional counterparts.
Okay.
And recently we have seen a number of milestones. I mean, over the years we had a guideline on Islamic banking. We had recently we had Sukuk. Bangladesh government issued the first Sukuk in 2020 during the COVID year.
MashaAllah.
And we had the Sukuk rules 2019 coming from BSEC in 2019.
Okay.
And now a number of corporate Sukuk has been already issued. So overall, I would say it is progressing.
Yes.
However, if we compare with Malaysia, definitely we could have done much better.
Yes.
For example, until now we don't have a Islamic Finance Act or Islamic Banking Act.
Okay.
What we have done is we have amended the existing Bank Companies Act to incorporate Murabaha, Mudaraba, etc.
Sometimes you need to have a loose arrangement so that you can move.
True.
Rather than the tight operation.
True. And then we don't have yet a comprehensive Sharia governance framework, both of which, I mean, the Act and Sharia governance, as per we know, is in the process. Maybe when the podcast is released, it's already published, hopefully, inshallah.
Hopefully, inshallah.
So, and then one of the key areas that we see is Malaysia has gone far ahead, mashallah, is on the education. Like only recently we have some universities started their department on Islamic finance to offer bachelors. But until then, we didn't have any university who would offer bachelors or masters or PhD in Islamic finance. So that has been a significant lacking.
Yes.
But we hope that things will improve, and we have seen universities are coming forward, inshallah. And with all these, we are also, as you mentioned, one important thing you mentioned, your journey with when the HR was asking you to join, and you asked what is the difference.
Yes.
I think that basic question still remains in the mass mind in Bangladesh. Like when we talk about Islamic banking or finance, the very first question still remains: what is the difference?
Yes.
What is the difference? And especially if they see, nauzubillah, some corruption also happening in Islamic banks, then it even makes it worse.
Yes.
And furthermore, because of some non-Sharia compliance or because of some lack of Sharia governance, we have also some of our respected ulama who oppose the idea of Islamic banking at all.
Yes.
This is the same case like Pakistan as well.
Yes.
We have the same
other countries
in some other countries as well. Like they would oppose completely that there could be anything possible as Islamic banking or finance.
Yes, yes.
So we have to also always have conversations with them, discuss with them.
Yeah.
So that is the multi challenges that we face. But despite all these, we believe that Bangladesh has a big potential to be one of the important hubs of Islamic finance in our region, inshallah.
Yeah. So underground, when the proper Islamic finance infrastructure and facade was not really developed, does the economy of the Muslim, to the extent that you understand, in Bangladesh, does it work on cooperative or on wakaf or on sadaqah or on other social finance format in Bangladesh? Like in some country that we know, the Islamic finance is not strong, but the cooperative, the wakaf are very strong.
We have cooperatives, we have microcredit institutions as well, and some Islamic microfinance as well. But I think if we look from formal Islamic social finance institutions point of view, we didn't see things coming so strong.
Okay.
Despite we have had a lot of potential.
Yes.
But a lot of private initiatives for zakat has been there. In Bangladesh, like unlike Malaysia, as we see, mashallah, every state has a zakat body.
Yes.
And the zakat collection and distribution has been quite efficient, mashallah. In Bangladesh, we haven't had this culture yet, developed yet.
Okay.
So in most cases, the big corporates, they will have their own way to distribute the zakat. Individuals, the rich people, the high net worth individuals, they would distribute their zakat in a private manner in their own, to their own families, neighbors, circles. So in a mass level, we have seen microcredit institutions, but there are disputes as well, like is these microcredit institutions beneficial to the society or not beneficial? There are research for and against these institutions, because there are both sides of the story, productive and non-productive loans. But otherwise, I think unlike other countries, we haven't seen actually much development on the Islamic social finance front, like wakaf, zakat, etc.
Okay. Coming back, I have to be biased because this is very ASAS podcast. Belong to ASAS. You mentioned that you are also studying in our CSA program, Certified Sharia Advisors program. Almost finishing, I think. All right.
Still.
You are there. But how do you see the crossbreed initiative that we initiated through the program? Number one. Number two, how do you see the importance of the people from the industry to come into the classroom and talk about the application rather than the academic, rather than the theoretical part of Islamic finance? How do you see that program?
Yeah, first of all, as I was mentioning earlier as well, that I really appreciate my program at INSAFE as well now as in ASAS. So particularly for ASAS certification, just the other day we were discussing that, mashallah, the materials are very comprehensive. Alhamdulillah. Really appreciate that. And in terms of crossbreeding, what I understand is like when between industry and academia, Sharia and non-Sharia. So I believe this is a very important collaboration. And as a Sharia background, I always want to understand the very basic rationales of every single knowledge, particularly which are relevant to the industry. And I like to hear from the industry experts, because they can explain more than the theory. Sometimes when we read the theories, we cannot relate. We can see the diagram and the process flow, but behind the scene is different. So it really makes a lot of difference when we hear from the industry. And I believe that this program, for example, I have seen in Malaysia, all Sharia board members, even Sharia officers, they have to do it. This is a significant landmark, I would say. Why? Because for the industry to grow, we need the knowledge to be disseminated across the board members, Sharia board members, Sharia officers, even the staffs and executives of the Islamic banks. If the knowledge is not there, the legacy cannot be carried. Particularly Malaysia, mashallah, has been always the flag bearer of Islamic finance. For this to continue, we need ASAS, inshallah.
Okay. My last question before we stop
Yes.
for our second session and we move to the third one. I'm sure that throughout your long journey and lot of challenges, I just want to relate on another ASAS program what we call Syariah Committee Succession Plan.
Okay.
How you wish that you had the opportunity to be groomed to become a Syariah committee, and what are the components that you think we should have embedded in nurturing our new talent for Syariah committee, either in Malaysia or in Bangladesh or in global?
Yeah, very important question. Thank you so much. I believe we have discussed this informally last time as well.
Yes, many times.
And this personally, I have experienced this a number of times, because I always wanted to learn from the Sharia committee members before I joined any Sharia committee.
Yeah.
So as a newcomer in the industry, I wanted to know exactly what's going on, how the decisions are being made, how the decisions are being deliberated on. And until today, I remember, I think last year also, I requested one of the international Sharia board that can I join just an observer, because I want to see how these big scholars, mashallah, they interact, and so that we can carry the legacy forward.
Correct.
So I really appreciate the idea of succession plan. This is very much needed, because I was quoting our first generation, second generation of Sharia scholars. They did their best, mashallah.
Yes,
but course. How we ensure that we carry the legacy forward? So some of the initiatives I think can be taken if ASAS, for example, the ones who are attending the programs, they are given an opportunity to join Sharia committee meetings, actual Sharia committee meetings, as an observer. Of course, the industry will have some confidentiality issue, but I believe that can be taken care of as part of ASAS code of conduct and everything. So for me, that is the most significant part. But if it is, even if it's not a Sharia committee, let's say we are considering succession plan for the Sharia officer. So if they can do some internship or something like that with the Sharia department, that will give them hands-on experience, and definitely they will be able to carry the legacy forward, inshallah.
Okay, let me do some marketing for ASAS committee ASAS Sharia Committee Succession Plan. We have 5 tiers. Tier 1 to Tier 5. So in Tier 1, we divide that into 3. 1.1 is about the bootcamp or crash course of Islamic finance. And now we've been asked to add another component. So we have the economic components, we have the technical components, we have Islamic finance and the governance component. The fourth component will be the leadership components. So that is something that is also requested by the stakeholders, that we need to have a leadership.
Of course.
So that is 1.1. So when they clear the 1.1, the assessment is very thorough. They will go into 1.2. 1.2 is what we call internship in the industry. So this is where we are working with IBIM, the Association of Islamic Banking Malaysia. We are discussing, we are finalizing the term and condition with the MTA, Malaysian Takaful Association. We are also talking to Association of Development Islamic Financial Institution, or ADFIM, that those people who clear 1.1, the candidate who clear 1.1 will go into internship in the industry with ASAS supervision. So normally the internship is only for university student. So now ASAS will be the body that will look into their internship, in terms of the timing, in terms of the on-job rotation. So we will structure a program that they will get an exposure in relevant Islamic finance department in the financial institution. We will also have the senior Sharia committee members that will be the mentor for them throughout their internship period. But we are finalizing the term and condition, as you rightly mentioned, the confidential, the PDPA kind of thing, the sensitivity between if I were to be intern in Bank A, what happen if I get appointed in Bank B, for example, or vice versa. So we are finalizing that term and condition. So this part is basically to settle the issue of appointment of new Sharia committee, where normally the issue raised to the academician is that they don't have industrial experience.
Correct.
So the internship, the on-job rotation, the mentorship will overcome that part that would allow them to be the candidates for the industry to choose. So we don't promise them. We don't say that whoever register our program confirm will be appointed as Syariah committee. No, we can't promise that. We don't even promise the financial institution. So we are, you have 2 interns in your institution, potential Syariah committee. If you submit their name, confirm they'll be accepted. No, we don't promise that. So hopefully, we will address some of the concern and the issue that you have mentioned earlier.
Inshallah.
In our ASAS Syariah Committee Succession Plan Initiative, which was launched on 30th October.
Oh, mashallah.
And then we will issue our, by the time we share this podcast, I think we should have started our first selection and also the first program, inshallah. Okay, we will stop here for our part 2, and we will come back later on the current activity of Dr. Mufti Yousuf Sultan. Colorful activities. Maybe he has about 25 hours a day, no, maybe more. And also a little bit of reminder and advice to ASAS member on the journey on the future of Islamic finance that ASAS member and other Sharia committee will have to undertake to continue the progress of Islamic finance to the next level, inshallah. Okay, thank you very much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. We'll come back on the third part of our podcast. Thank you.
Waalaikumsalam.
Okay, welcome back to our last part or part 3 of our podcast, ASAS podcast with Dr. Mufti Yousuf Sultan. We talk about his grown up, his ambition, how he ended up in Islamic finance. We talk about his experience as a Sharia committee members in Malaysia and also in Bangladesh. We talk about challenges of a Sharia committee members. So now we'll talk about he himself. What is he doing now? His venture. We try to look also at the contribution that he want to make to the industry with his current capacity. Not sure whether he still study while working. Maybe he need 25 or 28 hours a day if he were to do that. So Dr. Mufti Yousuf Sultan. What are you doing now on your daily routine apart from your function as a Syariah committee in Standard Chartered Sadiq and also in Bangladesh?
Yeah, thank you so much for this question. First of all, I have a share advisory company here, which I started around more than 3 years back, called Adal Advisory, ADL. ADL Advisory.
ADL Advisory,
Yeah.
okay.
So we are here registered with Securities Commission Malaysia as well as Labuan Financial Services Authority.
Okay.
We work with IUFI as well on a number of projects as well. We are their exam center and training partner as well.
Okay.
So this has been my main activity usually every day. So here we have been advising a number of companies in different countries, in Malaysia, then currently in the US, in Canada, in South Africa, Australia, Uzbekistan, and yeah, these are currently active, and Turkey. These are currently active, alhamdulillah. A number of so we have a small team here. And besides that, I have another share advisory company which I started when I was doing my master's at NCF with my colleague and founder partner in Bangladesh, which is called IFA Consultancy.
IFA.
So Islamic Finance Academy and Consultancy.
Okay.
So this one we started around almost 8 years back, and we have been, alhamdulillah, advising even regulators and industry. We have been providing training programs, also consultancy, particularly in Bangladesh. That one is more focused in Bangladesh. And we actually have a bigger team there, alhamdulillah, with young muftis and also IOFI certified share advisor and auditors.
Okay.
So these two are my main activity daily. Apart from that, I also manage a madrasa in Bangladesh. It's a 2 years Takhassus fil Fiqh wal Fatwa program. Remember I mentioned in the very part one, which I did myself. So this one, the one that I manage with my colleagues and partners, here we have modified the curriculum to include, of course, there are fiqh fatwa basics and issues, but other than that, we have classic Islamic finance and muamalat studies, as well as modern Islamic banking, capital market. We even added accounting, like kind of what the vision that ASAS has, for example, a blended learning. So we wanted to make a breed of Sharia scholars who also understands the modern aspects.
Alhamdulillah.
And alhamdulillah, some of the graduates of our earlier batches work with the ADL as well as the Bangladesh entity I mentioned, as well as some other Islamic finance entities already.
Okay.
We have been seeing demand from the industry, so because they want to recruit Sharia department officers, this and that, and they are asking us to give our graduates, alhamdulillah.
Okay. What about the area of coverage? Social finance, banking, takaful, fintech.
So the takhassus actually in
in your operation.
Oh, in my operations. Okay. So in our ADL, we have Islamic fintech bit more.
Okay.
So we have clients who are doing robo advisory, e-wallet, then blockchain, crypto assets, for example, and also there are sukuk and others.
Plain vanilla.
Asset management. We have REIT as well. So across different. In Bangladesh, we have more corporates. We also have almost all the Islamic fintech in Bangladesh at this moment are our clients, almost all. Because there are no other share advisory companies per se. We are the first and until now the only one, alhamdulillah.
Allahu Akbar.
And in Bangladesh, we also have, more training side is even more strong.
Okay.
I remember when we started training in Islamic banking, etc., we were the first training provider in Sukuk, we were the first training provider on Takaful and many others. Now, alhamdulillah, there are a number of vendors who started training programs. But last time when we started, it was not, we didn't know any others. Apart from the training centers within banks.
Okay.
Because banks have their own in-house training programs. That is different. So, alhamdulillah, these are the two major activities. And as I mentioned earlier, other than my Sharia advisory, Sharia committee positions in Malaysia, I have a number of engagement in Bangladesh. So these are banks, NBFIs, asset management, and also both regulatory bodies. So I sit in the SSC of Bangladesh Securities Commission, as well as one committee in the Bangladesh Bank as well, the central bank. So these are, for me, it's like a full-time share advisory job. Like my day end-to-end is all about working within the share advisory scope, alhamdulillah.
Okay. What is the population of Bangladesh?
So the last consensus, I think, would say around 180 million, but unofficially it should be more than 200 million.
Yeah, exactly. So the cake is big in Bangladesh. So
yes.
the cake is big. That would require lot more talent and
Right,
also
right.
expert, subject matter expert.
True.
I think when come to working hours, the time difference between Malaysia and Bangladesh,
Just 2 hours.
2 hours.
Yeah,
So
it's manageable.
you wake up 2 hours earlier than Bangladesh. You wake up 2 hours Malaysian time, which is 2 hours earlier in Malaysia, and you sleep in Bangladesh time. 2 hours late. 2 hours late.
No, what I try to do, of course, start working after Fajr and early in the day, Alhamdulillah.
Okay.
But usually I have no issue during the daytime. Only sometimes, because sometimes they invite me for webinars, etc.
Yes,
so usually they will have the webinars at around 10 p.m. Bangladesh time,
okay, which
is around 12 here. So in most cases, I have to say either no, or I have to say, can you reschedule to maybe after Maghrib, your time or something like that. Or I have to just maybe once in a while, maybe once in 6 months, I will do one usually.
MashaAllah. So what about the teaching? The one that you mentioned?
Teaching,
what's your commitment like?
Yeah, teaching for my madrasa, I take 2 classes a week usually. Usually because we have other teachers, let's say they teach IOF standards, for example, or BNM standards. But on practical aspects, there are issues that the students don't understand. So usually my role is to clarify the practical aspects, give them the practical examples, how it works in the industry. That is most of it. Other than that, there are I also joined as a visiting lecturer in one of the universities in Malaysia, as you know. So this one is not in USIM.
USIM.
Yeah, so it's not a regular class commitment. It's more a research role.
Yes.
And sometimes I have a visiting lecturing opportunity. So in terms of training, it's not a everyday responsibility. So that's why I'm able to manage, and I try to leverage on technology very highly, I would say. So I have like number of calendars. All of these are well integrated, and all my team members, they have one single source of my calendar, so they can see when I'm available. They can book accordingly. So that's how it's manageable. Otherwise, it would be chaos. Very, very hectic.
I think that's the expectation of the modern subject matter expert in various countries. Again, coming back to ASAS program.
Right.
Yeah, we receive requests from international. 2 type of requests. In fact, 2 plus 1. The first request is for us to maintain the content according to our Bank Negara centric content. Now that as what we have. There's another request who say we have to take out the Bank Negara centric and put in the respected country or regional regulation. So we will go for the first one, because to us, we will only go to the second option when we have a good demand.
Right.
Yeah. Of course, because of the first grouping, they said keep it. We want to learn. We want to know. We want to understand how Malaysia ecosystem as well as the application in Malaysia. So what do you think for Bangladesh and also for the subcontinent in the light of Maldives, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, Pakistan and India? Should we approach on type 1 or wait and go for type 2?
I would say type 3.
Type 3. Okay.
So basically, I think first of all, keeping the Malaysian materials, I would say, of course, ASAS should keep.
Yeah.
Why? Because in my observation, as I'm working with number of committees, as I mentioned, and when we look at various markets, in many cases we find that Malaysia, mashallah, has a solution which other markets may not have. Or maybe the solution is more matured in Malaysia.
Yeah, best practices. I've been telling people we are 50 years old.
Yes.
We lost our teeth. We walk very slow. We injured. Now we have scars.
Alhamdulillah. So I strongly believe that it should be maintained.
Okay.
However, when we go to different markets, because when let's say if I'm talking about Bangladesh,
yes,
when we want to share this material in Bangladesh, so in Bangladesh, we don't have tawarruk, for
Correct.
example.
Yes.
We have murabaha, we have mudaraba, we have salam, istisna, etc.
Yes.
So if these are not brought in the materials, then people will feel irrelevant.
Yes.
Because they will not be able to relate it.
Yes.
So I believe we keep the Malaysian materials, ASAS should keep, as well as there
Tailor-made.
should be a maybe like a one add-on session where a local expert will share what is going on in the country itself.
Okay.
So that will give them a comprehensive idea.
Okay, we can start very soon. Maybe
Inshallah.
2025 through your arms and connection in Bangladesh.
Inshallah.
Last for this third session of our podcast today, what's your advice to Sharia fraternity, to ASAS member, as well as to those who are looking at Islamic finance as something that provide alternative solution at the moment?
Yeah, thank you so much. My advice is not to the elders,
yes,
because mashallah they are already respected Sharia scholars. It's only for my fellow friends or youngsters.
Yes.
I believe mashallah they have a lot of energy. It's just to put the energy in the right direction, in the right momentum.
Yeah.
And mashallah, Malaysia has ASAS. Malaysia has a lot of significant infrastructure institutions, I call it, which gives them that direction.
Okay.
It just requires their intention and determination that we want to excel.
Okay.
And that drive can be accelerated if they have a mentor, either maybe their ustaz, their teacher, their professor, or whoever who can guide them on the study path and the career path.
Okay.
But overall, mashallah, in Malaysia they enjoy certain things which we don't have in most other Muslim countries in terms of Islamic finance industry. This should not be taken as granted.
Yeah.
So we need the Malaysian youngsters to even bring themselves to a level where they can continue leading the legacy. Inshallah. And I would also advise them that for the new generation of Sharia scholars, of course, we need a very strong hold on fiqh, particularly on the Sharia standards resolutions that are being issued contemporarily by fatwa boards, like in Malaysia, for example, the SSC of BNM, SC, etc. But other than that, also globally, IOFI, Majmu' al-Fiqh al-Islami, and different banks also conducting symposiums. ASAS also has Muzakara.
Inshallah.
All these there. Apart from that, we also need to have this hunger to understand the modern technology, the developments, what's going on in the industry.
Yeah.
Maybe we have some free time, just learn something new.
Yeah.
I always try to do this, alhamdulillah, until now. I have some free time, just do a free course. And I try to get structured learning. I feel better. Because in YouTube, there are so many videos.
Yes.
Sometimes it will start in one direction and end up in something else. So, and now, alhamdulillah, with all these MOOC platforms, even IRTI has free courses, INSAF has free courses, and Coursera has, IFIM has, then in Harvard and all those, anything we can learn.
Yes.
Now the learning path is so easy, it just needs our own determination. So my advice to all my fellow Sharia scholars, youngsters particularly, that please learn and unlearn and prepare yourself to carry this legacy forward. We need many talents, particularly Sharia talents, to lead the industry in the right direction. Otherwise, if we just look Islamic banking from the banking perspective, there are so many people and so many experts to take into different direction. But Sharia is the one which should guide to the right direction, inshallah.
Inshallah. Thank you very much, Dr. Mufti Yousuf Sultan, for your take-up. If I can also echo to your advice, I'm not advising the Islamic finance graduate to focusing on only working in the industry. I would also advise them to work in the client to the industry. So the client of the bank, the client of the capital market, so that they can really ensure or drive that Islamic finance is the first option rather than the second option, as what we are seeing in the practices now. So again, Dr. Yousuf,
if I may add one last thing, because just now you were mentioning on the client side.
Yes.
Actually, when I shared about my experience, one important thing I missed out, that in Malaysia, while I was doing my master's and PhD, I had the opportunity to work with an Islamic fintech for around 5 years, a licensed fintech in Malaysia.
Okay.
And that gave me a very real exposure on the operational side, as well as management and business, legal, financials, as well as working with the regulators. So I really echo what you have said. Even if they can work on the client side, they will have a really another deep perspective, which they can later on relate to the industry and give back, inshallah. Much better.
Inshallah. So we have confirmed a few things. We have shared some input. Hopefully, we have clarified a number of issues through our podcast, very ASAS podcast today. Again, thank you, Dr. Mufti Yousuf Sultan. One day, inshallah, I will call you Professor as well. Throughout your academic, throughout your academic achievement. Please continue to contribute to the industry. Please keep on reminding ASAS, all of our team, doa for us, doa to all ASAS members, and inshallah, we will start our 2025 with a more colorful journey and also a better achievement. Yeah, may Allah guide us in all our journey, and may Allah give us full barakah in whatever that we are doing, inshallah.
I also request du'as for myself, my family, my teachers, my professors, lecturers,
inshallah.
And I make dua that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give a lot of barakah in ASAS members, as well as the entire Islamic finance industry, inshallah.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh. Wallahu a'lam bisawab. Thank you very much.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.